Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you 15 Dollar Tree Valentine's Day DIYs using products from the Dollar Tree. I hope you enjoy all of these ideas. Be sure to give them a thumbs up and subscribe if you are new so I can continue to inspire and motivate you here. For this DIY, I'm using this scarf and heart from the Dollar Tree, and I loved the color on this scarf. I thought it was so pretty and I love the texture on it, and so all I did was cut it in half as you saw, and then I'm just going to wrap this around the heart, and it fits so nicely. This is just a regular foam heart. They have different ones at Dollar Tree, but this one I think you could definitely is a great buy because you can cover it with ribbon, regular material if you wanted to, or like I'm doing a scarf. And this only cost me $2, so I'm just cutting off the excess, and it is a little bit messy as you can see, but once you get it all glued down it really doesn't fray too much as long as you tuck it under. So I think this heart is super cute just like this, but I wanted to dress it up a little bit more and make it a little bit more on the elegant side. So I took those pearls that Dollar Tree has and I put them on a string, and then I'm just gluing them around the outer edge of the heart. Now you can wrap this around the heart if you want to, but you'll need quite a bit of the pearls. So one package, possibly two, will be all that you need for this. And I'm gluing down every 5 or so pearls to the heart. So now I'm going to show you how to make these heart garland. All I'm doing is taking some book pages out of a book that I had, and I'm cutting it into the size hearts that I want them to be. So these hearts are about 2 inches in height. You can make these smaller or larger, it's completely up to you. I'm taking one of those papers and folding it in half and then cutting it again, and then I will fold that paper in half, and I'm just going to cut it in the shape of a heart. You can trace this out, but it's really not necessary. So you're just going to use this as your template basically, and then trace that onto a whole bunch of the squares that you have already cut out. You could also use a cookie cutter to do the shape of this, but I do recommend cutting multiple of these at one time just to save yourself some time. I ended up cutting out about 50 of these because I wanted my garland to be nice and long, and all I'm doing is placing one down and then placing this cotton twine that Dollar Tree carries in between and making a V shape in the hot glue, and then gluing that down with a top layer as well. And I placed mine about 2 to 3 inches apart, which I thought was perfect. You can do whatever you want, make these larger or smaller, but this is really inexpensive to do, and I love the vintage tone it gives, but it's also muted so it's not loud in your face for a very small holiday. For this DIY, I'm going to be using these wooden beads that Dollar Tree carries in the craft aisle. Now there's a couple different sizes in here, and I went ahead and used the large one. Now for Valentine's Day, they have these heart-shaped picks. They come in I think a 6 or 7 pack, and I decided to use this because it was smaller than the wooden dowel, and it is wood, and it fit the larger wooden beads perfectly. So I'm just adding a little bit of hot glue to the top and bottom one, but you can secure them all if you don't want them to turn. It's completely up to you. And then I'm taking one of those hearts that I had left over from my last DIY video. If you haven't seen that, link that down below. And I'm just taking some Waverly white chalk paint and painting this over the colored beads. Now I would definitely recommend spray painting this, but I could not. It was only 20 degrees outside, so if you have warmer weather, definitely spray paint it. It'll save you some time, but it's not necessary. You don't have to. It just gives it if you're going to leave them white, it's definitely a layered look. It's not as smooth as spray paint would actually give for this. And then the heart is actually from a garland that they had, and then I'm using some regular glue here, and I'm just going to brush this on the other hearts that I have made here. I did them in 3 different layers. So one has 6 beads on it. The other one has 5 and then 3, so I could layer them and put them on the mantle together. And the wooden hearts that I painted here come in a 5-pack from Dollar Tree. So just layer on that Mod Podge or regular glue, whatever you have on hand. And then I'm using some book sheets as well for this, and I'm just going to press this on. And you're going to press it on. You could actually trace this out first. That would be the wiser decision, but I did not do that. And because it's wet, because of the glue, it actually just comes off when you pull on it off the sides. So don't fret over it, and the scalloped edge is really cute with the paper. So now I'm going to take that Waverly's wax paint here, and I'm going to brush this onto the beads because I wanted them to look like wood, and this stuff does not smell or anything. You could just use regular stain if you have raw beads as well, or just regular wood beads. I know the at-home store does have them. I have some for Christmas, but I'm saving that for another project. And I thought these would just work so nicely, and then you're just going to kind of get them into the grooves. And I decided to do one heart with the stain on it as well, and I really like the way this looks. So do whatever color that works for you. I'm definitely going for the neutral tones this year, and I want it to be very nice and transitional and not be loud or in your face. But I know everybody has a different style of decorating. A lot of you guys like the traditional reds and pinks. So next, for the base of these, I'm going to use these little wooden balls that Dollar Tree carries. They have 3 different sizes, so these are the medium sized ones, I think, or the large ones. I'm not actually sure on that. And then I'm taking, because they don't sit exactly flat, I'm taking a wider popsicle stick and just cutting that down to be at the base of this. They all worked really well and stood up. The only one that was a little bit heavier was the larger heart because of the size and the thickness of the wood, but they turned out so cute. I love that project. For the next Valentine's Day DIY, we're going to use this really cute sign from Dollar Tree, and we're basically going to rip almost everything off of it. It's adorable as is, but again, I'm going for those neutral tones, so the hearts pretty much just pull all the way off. They weren't stuck on too much at all, and then you can just peel off the excess paint. And you're actually going to want to cut off all of the red on it. I will end up getting to that later, but I'm using the hearts as a template to trace out onto some fabric that I have on hand, and I love this fabric. I've had this for I think 2 or 3 years now, and it's just so pretty. It's a nice farmhouse vintage striping, and it's just so pretty. I ended up buying the whole roll when I bought it years ago because I didn't want, I was actually going to cover a chair in it, and I never did. But once you get your heart shape cut out, then you're going to go ahead and make as many of those as you want. And look at that sweet little hand right there. He told me he was going to craft with me. So you'll see his little project that he's going to start working on. He's so cute. Now I'm going to reattach those straw bows that were on there, but I'm peeling off the red heart because I didn't want the loudness of the red being on there. And then I'm actually going to cut some black hearts out of some black felt for that area. I just forgot to film that part, and I'm just going to cut down the straw because I didn't like how long it was. And then again, like I said, I've been cutting off all of the red that is showing. I didn't want that coloring on there. Plus, I just don't like it. It's just too bright for me. And then I'm taking this black felt that Dollar Tree carries in the craft area, and we're basically just going to cut out the shape that the red was in, and we're going to create like a little border. I did try painting the red felt, and it didn't work very well, so just get some black material or whatever color material you want, and then cut that out and get it as straight as possible, and glue that onto the back of the heart sign. And voila, you have a completely new sign that is not loud or anything, and I really love the way it looks. I am so happy I switched it out to do more of the neutral tones. The next project, we're going to be taking this love sign. There was a galvanized heart there, but I took it off and used it for a previous project. And now I'm just going to take some sandpaper and sand that down, smoothing that out and trying to get rid of a little bit of the red paint. Dust that off, and then I'm going to cover this sign in white chalk paint here. And I am not doing the grooves in this sign. I wanted to keep that shiplap look to it. But again, you can do whatever you want. You can paint this black, pink, gray, whatever works for you. So once you get that covered, I'm going to take again that wax paint from Waverly, and I'm going to cover these wooden hearts here. They do say love on the other side, so if you want to just highlight that, you can, but I just like the plain heart side, and I'm just going to brush that on, giving it a nice stained look. I'm going to do that to both of them. And then I'm going to brush on the rest of the stain, just dry brushing it on, giving a little bit of texture to the sign. Now I'm going to be using these wooden Scrabble letters that I got from the Target dollar section. I thought these were so cute, and they have ones that say completely different things, so just look through them and see if you can find them. And I just gluing those down and making sure they're even, and then I'm going from the center of this one and working my way outwards. But this sign is so cute. I can't wait to display this for Valentine's Day. I think it's adorable. It'd be perfect for a wedding too. I'm gluing those larger hearts down, and I'm taking these stick-on hearts and I'm just turning them over and gluing those back on. And this is how the sign came out. So cute. You have to let me know which one is your favorite so far. So for this DIY, again, I'm going to be using that stain paint again, and this heart, I'm just going to be using the back side of it, and I'm just going to brush this on, and I do it in two different directions, so do whatever works for you. You can rub it on, whatever you want to do, but I wanted to make sure it kind of flowed with the way the heart was kind of looking. It's personal preference. It dries super quickly though, so don't worry about it taking forever, or you can always blow dry it between projects if you need to. Now I'm going to be using my wagon wheel, and I've made this use out of Dollar Tree products. I will have that video linked down below if you want further details on how to make it. But I don't have any wire twine left, floral wire, so I'm using some floral tape to basically clamp on my eucalyptus. And this eucalyptus I did not want to cut, but I should have, because it's a little bit overpowering for the size of my wagon wheel. The wagon wheel is about 2 feet wide, but I needed to cut the eucalyptus. I just didn't, so just ignore the disproportionedness of it. I need to fix that. But for the sake of the video, it's going to be like this. I'm using one of those felt hearts that Dollar Tree carries. They come in like a pack of 6 or 8, and there's pink and red in there. And I'm using that galvanized heart with a wooden heart on it. And then I glued in various little wooden hearts into the eucalyptus. And this is how it turned out. It's not my favorite. It's missing something. But you know what? Just thought I'd give you an idea at least. So we're going to be using again this cardboard heart, and I'm going to be gluing on some twine on the red side of it, because we're going to be transforming the blank side of it on the back, and just because it's easier. I'm going to take some Mod Podge here and spread that out on the entire heart. And then again, I'm using those book pages, and I've cut them into different shapes, and I'm basically going to layer them on and then add in some Mod Podge to glue each layer down. And I wanted it to just kind of have that layered old book look, but you can do whatever you want. You can cover this with fabric if you wanted to, or just regular scrap paper or wrapping paper. It all works for you. I've done all of them, and I'll be showing you another way to use these hearts in today's video for a wreath as well later on, so stay tuned for that. But I'm just, like I said, I'm just layering this on, and then we're going to cut off the excess once it's done drying. And I think it's really cool looking the way it is. These hearts come in a pack of like 5 or 6, so you can get quite a bit of use out of them. And just finish layering on that Mod Podge, and once it's dry, this is how it will end up looking. And again, it's just one of those easy layering pieces. It doesn't cost you much to make it all, and it's really pretty when it's displayed with everything. So again, I'm going to be using the books, and then I'm going to be using that heart again. This is a different size one, and for this I'm going to clamp the papers together and then hot glue them to the back of the heart. And you want to make sure you do it to the white side, because the red side will stick out and you don't want to see that. So these are just squares of paper that I'm pinching together and then adding some hot glue and then holding that there until it dries. And we're basically going to layer this on and do it until the whole entire heart is filled. It is so pretty. I love the way this looks. This is one of the projects that I have saved over the years and I love it. So pretty. I like how fluffed up it is and it just has that vintage vibe and I love it so much. Next DIY, I'm just taking a little bit of some matte white paint and dry brushing it onto this pink heart that I already had from last year. And I'm just brushing it, and dry brushing is just adding a little bit of paint to it and just brushing that all over, because you don't want a full coat. Then I mixed black and white together to get more of a gray tone here, and again I am just dry brushing this with the grain of the wood. This is completely optional. After doing this, I kind of wish I would have just left it with the white and pink, but it definitely gives it a different look. Then I'm going to go in with some green paint and I'm going to be painting these XO wood cutout letters that you can also find at the Dollar Tree. I'm adding a little bit of hot glue to the back of them and I'll be gluing those on. You could have this say whatever you would like, but I didn't have anything that said XO on it, and so I thought it was a great way to repurpose the heart that I had from last year and just change it up a little bit for this area. For the next simple DIY, you're going to want this set of 3 tinsel hearts and then some spray paint, your color of choice. All I did was cut the tinsel in one area and then it just started unraveling right off. And you can see these little points on each end of the heart. I really like this. We're going to maximize on that feature of it. I took this outside and then just gave it a good coat of the spray paint and then let that dry, and I love the way this has turned out, you guys. I feel like they look like rusted barbed wire hearts, which is definitely cool looking. It has that old farmhouse vintage vibe to it, and I didn't have to do a lot of work for this. I had something else completely planned for these hearts and this is way better. I need a wreath form. You will need the love sign from Dollar Tree as well as some ribbon of your color of choice. I'm using white and gray paint here, as well as a paint brush, a paint tray, and then I will also be using this arrow and a glue gun. I'm going to start with some gray paint and I'm going to be tracing inside the letters and just highlighting them. Now you could use a skinny ribbon for this as well, but I decided to paint it on because I didn't have enough ribbon of the style that I wanted. While that dries, I'm going to take my ribbon and wrap that all the way around the wreath form. And one spool fits the Dollar Tree wreaths just fine. Add a little bit of glue to the very end and you'll glue that together. Then I went in after the gray dried and I used the back of my paintbrush and added little polka dots to the love sign. You could add whatever you wanted, flowers or just leave it plain. It's completely up to you, but I like the little bit of details and I just staggered the dots. Then you're going to decide where you want to add this to your wreath. I decided to add it to the lower part of it, and I'll just be adding a little bit of hot glue on each side to hold down the love sign. Now I'm going to take some leftover ribbon and make another bow. I already had a bow already made, so I'm using this ribbon. I'm just crisscrossing it, figuring out the desired length of my bows to be, and then I'll cinch it in the middle, take a tie, and just twist that until it holds, and then I'll add a little bit of glue and I'll press the other one onto it, attaching them together, and then I will add a little bit of glue to the back of the ribbon and attach this to my wreath. Now you could leave the wreath just like this, but I took that adhesive arrow and added it to the heart, and I love the way this wreath came out. You could use whatever style ribbon you wanted. I'm going for a little bit more on the farmhouse muted tones for this Valentine's Day, so I really love the way this all came together. For the next wreath DIY, you're going to want a grapevine wreath again, a heart, some ribbon, I'm using red, some Mod Podge, as well as a paintbrush, a glue gun, some wrapping paper or craft paper, and then using some cotton stems and some scissors. I'm going to start by tracing out the heart, and you're going to want to do this in the opposite direction that you want to cover up the heart. This wrapping paper is left over from Christmas time from the Target dollar section, but again, you can use craft paper. Add Mod Podge to the back of the heart and then put your paper on there and then press it all the way down and then let that dry. Then I'm going to be adding my cotton stems, just intertwining them into the grapevine wreath, adding a little bit of glue to my bow that I made. And again, I made it just the same way as I showed you in the last one. And then I'm going to add some cotton stems to the bottom of the bow as well. And then I'm going to add a little bit of glue to the side of the wreath, and then I'm going to glue the heart on. And this wreath is done. It is super easy. You can change up the look of this however you want to. Use whatever color ribbon, but I love the way this one came out. I just think it's absolutely adorable. White doilies for this. Scissors, some burlap, and some lace. They do sell doilies there, and they also have burlap with lace already on it at the Dollar Tree. Some string and then some hot glue. You're going to start by cutting out a small heart with your burlap, cutting it like this, that way you get even sides. And you can adjust the size depending on what size doily, and then you're going to repeat the same process for the lace. I wanted it to slightly be a little bit smaller. Then you're going to hot glue those together. You can use Mod Podge if you want to, but the hot glue is just a little quicker and less messy. You're going to make a few of those hearts depending on what size garland you would like, and then you're just going to apply that to the doily and repeat that process again. Then you're going to take your twine. I love this burlap twine. It's useful for so many different things. And you're going to want to go through one of the holes and loop it on the back side. That way you don't see it. And do this for all the other doilies that you have. And I love the way it came out. Need a small mason jar, these little hearts again, burlap and lace, some scissors, and some hot glue. Start by figuring out measuring all the way around your mason jar and then cutting out your lace and your burlap to fit all the way around it. And you can adjust this to whatever your liking is. And I just took some hot glue on there for the length of the burlap, and go ahead and glue that on, and do that for the exact same side. Make sure it's nice and tight. And then you're going to want to repeat that process for the lace. Then you can go ahead and take your hearts. This is where you can get creative and do whatever you like. Here's an option for you if you don't want to do the red, or if you want to have both of them. I chose one of the bigger hearts. It does come in the same package, and I hot glued that on, and then I did a smaller red heart in the middle just by hot gluing it. And then I decided to add a little bit more bling, so I took the crystals that they sell there. It comes in a strand of 4, and I just trimmed it down to 1. And I just glued it right behind the heart, and in the middle, and then also on the other end. And I just feel like it added a little bit more bling, and I love the way it came out. And then I filled it with some straws from the Dollar Tree also. You're going to want to start by putting your heart upside down and tracing all the way around the scalloped edge. And this is just going to be a rough estimate. Cut off the excess burlap there that you have, because now what we're going to do is we're going to draw in about 1.5 inches inward from the scalloped edge, a nice smaller heart, and do that same for the other side. And then you're going to want to cut that heart out, and this is where you want to be a little bit more precise. And then you can also fold it over just to make sure both sides are equal, and trim away as needed. Then this is where you can get creative again. I was kind of pondering different ideas here for what I wanted. I really liked the way this looked, but then you could do it with a red heart in the middle, a pink one, lace completely. I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do. So then next I took the acrylic paint and just started painting around the edges. You can paint the entire thing if you want to, but it's not necessary. Take your Mod Podge and go ahead and paint that all the way around where the burlap heart will be, and then press that all the way down, getting out all the wrinkles, and then apply Mod Podge wherever else is needed to make it adhere, and then repeat that process again for the doily part. Smoothing that all out, and it will dry, don't worry, and then go ahead and do that for the smaller burlap heart. And there you have it. I love the way this came out, and then I decided to take the twine and loop that just to keep it more of the vintage feel. And so this is actually double-sided now. You have a vintage heart on one side, then you have a more modern chalkboard heart on the other side. So I hope you all enjoyed these easy Dollar Tree Valentine's Day DIYs. Definitely let me know which one was your favorite. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and have that notification bell on. If you happen to miss my last Valentine's Day DIY video, it'll be linked down below or in the eyes cards. I hope you guys have an amazing day. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in the next one.